Hello students and welcome to the class of Standard 7, subject History. Today we are going to do the first half of the lesson 8, Name an Ideal Ruler, presented by Sara Pereira. Let us know the background first. Before the foundation of Swaraj, Maharashtra was under the domination of the Adil Shahi, Siddhi, Portuguese and Mughal powers. Shivaji Maharaj struggled against these powers. He faced all kinds of adverse circumstances. He founded an independent and sovereign Swaraj. He set up a system for the administration of this Swaraj. He turned Swaraj into a Surajya. Surajya is something that is a good administration, a kingdom that sought the welfare of all. Maharaj created a new order with his capability. In the course of the conflict for the founding of the Swaraj, he himself had to face many grave dangers. Events like the meeting with the Afzal Khan, the siege of Panhala, the attack on Shaista Khan, the escape from Agra all involved a great amount of risk. Shivaji Maharaj emerged successful in all these events. Okay, all this we've done so far in the earlier chapters, and now in this chapter we are going to learn certain organizational skills or certain abilities that Shivaji Maharaj had, and this is why he is known as an ideal ruler. So first that we are going to do is organizational skill. Maharaj inspired the people around him to work for the Swaraj. He himself was determined, and in him this value was instilled by his parents. But he encouraged others also to fight for Swaraj. His organizational skill was unparalleled. Nobody could match his skills. With this skill, he drew around himself brave people who were also extremely loyal. These close associates of Maharaj performed their duty even by risking their own lives. There are many instances of this in the founding of this Swaraj. Jiva Mahala, who killed Baba Sayyid at a critical moment during the meeting with Afzal Khan. Shiva Kashid, who crossed the siege of Panhalgarh in the disguise of Shivaji Maharaj. Baji Prabhu Deshpande, who blocked the advances of the enemy on the way to Vishalgarh. Morarbaji Deshpande, who defended the fort of Purandar. Tanaji Malusare, who sacrificed his life while conquering Sinhagad. Hiroji Farzan and Madari Mehtar, who risked their lives during the escape of Maharaj from Agra, etc. These all incidences we've already learned in the previous chapters where all these incidences took place, and we can see that his associates were ready to sacrifice their lives, they were ready to die for him. And whenever he had to escape from any fort or wherever it was the question of his protection, his associates came forward, they fought the enemies, and they let him go or they let him pass safe or go to another place without any kind of disturbance. So this is how, and we see that the names, from the names we get to know that they were not only Hindus but of different religion, of uh, different religion we can say, and this is how he was treating everybody equally. Maharaj took great care of his associates. For example, Kanoji Jedhe was associated with Maharaj in the work of the Swaraj from the very beginning. When the aging Kanoji fell ill, Maharaj told him not to neglect his medicines or treatment on any account. This is how Maharaj reached on personal level also. Personally also he was talking to his associates and he was aware whether they are ill or whether they are in good health, and he was looking personally to all these matters, and that is basically why they were also willing to sacrifice their lives. Otherwise, if a ruler is very harsh to his people, then people usually don't feel like following him. And when we see that his people were ready to die for him, from that we can understand how what kind of relations they shared with each other. And so this is something that we all can learn from Shivaji Maharaj, how he organized well and how he managed between his associates, and he treated them as his family. So this was a great thing that we can learn from him. Next topic here is caring for the youth. While establishing this Swaraj, Maharaj had to constantly struggle against his enemies. His subjects suffered due to enemy invasions. At such times, Maharaj used to take utmost care to protect the youth. At the time of Shaista Khan's campaign, Maharaj warned the Deshmukh of the Rohida Valley not to fail in his duty towards the youth. Now, youth were especially the people, we can call them as backward people, who were peasants mostly. And these people, they did not have a common settlement. Okay, so they were usually invaded by the enemies and they settled near the valley of Rohida. Okay, and many times the enemies would come there, they would loot them, they were troubled, and the ryots were not treated well. So these ryots were highly in difficulty, and they always complain to Maharaj that they want some kind of protection against the enemies, because enemies would come, they would put fire uh, to the land where the roads used to do the farming, or they would loot the houses, they would burn the houses, they would uh, enter into the village and take away the food grains or whatever is there. So this is how the roads were. uh, these were the people who were not treated well by the enemies, and that's why Shivaji Maharaj took it as his responsibility to protect them. So he told Deshmukh to visit every village and shift people to a safe place down the ghats. Now the Deshmukhs were the one who used to look after the village administration. They were responsible for the village security. So when there were problems with these people in the village, Shivaji Maharaj, he warned the Deshmukhs and he strictly told them that he has to look after these people, and if they are not safe in the place where they are living, then they have to be shifted to another safer place where they can be protected by the army of the Maharaj. He strictly told them not to delay even for a moment. He further warned the Deshmukh that if he did not thus take care of the road, the Mughal army would take the people prisoner, and then it would be seen as the Deshmukh's doing. Okay, the enemies would keep on invading and the enemies would take some people as prisoners also, as slaves also, and when these people are taken as slaves, who will be responsible? Ultimately the Deshmukhs will be responsible, but ultimately it will be the responsibility of Maharaj also, that Maharaj could not protect his people, he could not take care of his people. This would be there. So Maharaj, he was very firm about this issue, and Maharaj also saw to it that the soldiers did not in any way cause any harm to the Ryot. I told you all that these Ryots were the peasants. Okay, they were from lower class, and they were backward. So they did not usually speak in front of Maharaj. They did not usually retaliate. They did not fight back. So even the soldiers of the Swaraj, or even the army of Maharaj, they also sometimes they took advantage of this, and they were also exploiting these people. So Maharaj warned the soldiers also, the army also, that you also should not treat them in a rude manner, because they also belong to Swaraj. Policy regarding the army. Maharaj maintained a strict discipline in the army. He was particular about paying the salaries of the army in time. He made arrangements to pay the salaries of the soldiers in cash. In various kingdoms in medieval India and elsewhere, there was a system of making payments to soldiers in form of jagirs. And this was not only the system for the soldiers, but also the different ministers who were there in the kingdom. In the medieval time, most of the kings, they paid them in the form of jagirs. Now what was jagir? It was a kind of land or small territory that was gifted to these soldiers, and then these soldiers would whatever tax or whatever revenue is collected from that area would be theirs. So that was kind of the salary for them, it was gift for them. But Shivaji Maharaj believed that it is better to give them salaries in cash, so that they don't have to look after the jagirs, or they don't have to worry about the jagirs. But when they're getting the salaries directly in the form of cash, then they're getting paid for whatever good they're doing. Maharaj set this practice aside. There was a strict order to the army that any valuables collected during the campaigns in enemy territories were to be deposited with the government. All the enemy wealth belonged to the government, and the soldiers were not allowed to rob or steal anything from it. So it was very disciplined, very strict, and Maharaj was very particular about this. He did not want any kind of looting happening in his territory or in his kingdom. Whatever happened had to be done systematically. So whatever wealth was taken when there was a campaign in the enemy territory, it had to be deposited to the government, and then the government would distribute it among the people whenever necessary, whenever in need, and it would be used for the kingdom only. Okay, it would be used for everybody. So Shivaji Maharaj used this policy. Soldiers were honored for their bravery in a campaign. He looked after the maintenance of the families of soldiers who died in battle. He took care of wounded soldiers. He treated well the enemy soldiers who had surrendered themselves or who had been captured. Okay, so he was treating every soldier equally, whether he was his own soldier or of an enemy. So whenever an enemy soldier also surrendered and he did not want to fight further, Shivaji Maharaj did not kill him there itself, but he treated him well. He treated him with respect. Also, the soldiers who were wounded, the soldiers who were who lost their maybe any body part, okay, they were taken care of by the Maharaj, and they were provided later on, okay, whatever facilities they need, because they wouldn't work after that because of the physical damage. So Shivaji Maharaj would look after the family and look after the basic needs that they would want. If war broke out during the period of sowing, growing, reaping of crops, there would be no limit to the loss of farmers. Not only would the movements of army interfere with the work of sowing, but the soldiers would cut off and take away standing crops or would destroy them. They would rob the houses of farmers. Shivaji Maharaj had ordered the officers to prohibit the soldiers from such action. The letter written by Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj in 1674 to his military officers is very important in this regard. It shows how minutely Shivaji Maharaj thought about the discipline in the army. If you harass and trouble the subjects belonging to different castes by robbing them of their grains, fodder, grass, vegetables, etc., those subjects would leave their houses and migrate elsewhere. Many of them would starve to death. It would be as if you are more atrocious than the Mughals. There would be great uproar. Okay, so this is an incident that is mentioned where Shivaji Maharaj, he was particular about the working of his army, and he kept a strict watch on them whether their activities were harming others or no, because when soldiers were troubling the farmers, when soldiers were misusing the power that they have, Shivaji Maharaj would strictly prohibit this kind of action, and he would tell them that they have to stop all types of wrong behaviors. So Shivaji Maharaj, while he was good to them, while he was caring for them, he also was strict that they should not misuse the powers that they have. The policy of tolerance. Maharaj had to struggle against his enemies, the Adil Shah, the Mughals, and the Siddhis. They were Islamic powers. While Maharaj struggled against them, he considered the Muslims in the Swaraj as his own subject. Okay, we should not forget this fact that the struggle of Maharaj was not against Muslim, it was not against religion, but it was against the people. They were outsiders. They had come to our country. They were ruling. They were invading the territories of India, and they were kind of looting India. So they were looting the nation, and Maharaj was against this fact, and that's why he had enemies like the Adil Shahi, the Mughals, and the Siddhis, and all these were Muslims because they were from the Muslim countries. But Maharaj did not have any kind of fight with the Muslim because of their religion, because he himself had some Muslims in his as his subjects in his kingdom, and he treated them with a lot of respect. At the time of meeting with Afzal Khan, Siddhi Ibrahim was a trusted servant in his army. So Siddhi Ibrahim was one of the soldiers of Shivaji Maharaj who was with him when he went to meet Adil Shah. So we can see that in his ministers also he had Muslim ministers. In his army he had so many Muslim leaders. Siddhi Hilal was a Sardar in the army of Maharaj. Daulat Khan was an important officer in the navy of this Swaraj. So Shivaji trusted them. He never thought that this person is a Muslim, so maybe he will betray me. No, he trusted them. He was treating them with great respect, and there was no discrimination, and he had a lot of faith in them. Maharaj followed a tolerant religious policy. In the enemy territories that he conquered, he continued the facilities that had been given to the Muslim places of worship. So, whichever territory he conquered, he did not try to establish his own religion there, or he did not force the people to stop their Muslim practices, and did not force Hinduism on them. But he allowed them to continue their religious faith and belief and religious practices, even if he was ruling those territories. His contemporary historian Kafi Khan writes about the tolerant religious policies of Maharaj. Shivaji had framed strict rules for his soldiers that during the campaigns they should not harm a mosque. If they came in possession of a copy of the Holy Quran, they should hand over the same with reverence to a Muslim. So this is how Shivaji, he was very particular about different thing, and so he also warned his rulers to see to it that in their fight for Swaraj, or in their fight with the enemies, no religious place is damaged, or no religious place is harmed. Even if the even if any holy copy of Holy Quran was found, it had to be handed over to a Muslim, because others would not understand the importance of it and they would not rate it well. So he told it to be handed to the to a Muslim who would take care of it, and that had to be done with reverence. Reverence is kind of deep respect that we pay to religious things or religious people. So this is how Shivaji Maharaj had a policy of tolerance, where he had great respect for all the religions. He did not he had enemies with people and not their religion. Okay, so this is a great value that we learn from him, that Shivaji Maharaj, though he was of the medieval age, he was quite ahead of the thinking or the mindset of that the people in those times, and he was quite modern, we can say. Okay, when he was treating all the religions equally, he was treating people equally. So this was very unique of him, and this is a great value that we learn from him. The remaining half of the lesson will be continued in the next module.